The tragic love story of Romeo and Juliet has become an eternal classic in literature, symbolizing beautiful yet tragic love. However, in real life, tragic love stories still happen every day, and sometimes their endings are even more heartbreaking. Love is a unique feeling. It can bring happiness, but it can also become a fire leading to unforeseen tragedies. The following murder case is a vivid example of the dark side of such love. Since the incident occurred, many questions have been raised. How can someone be ruthless enough to harm the person they once loved? Were they perhaps pushed to a dead end? And who truly bears responsibility in cases like these? These questions aren't easy to answer, as they touch on complex psychological corners where love and hatred can easily intermingle. A mother's desperate plea for help. On the morning of March 12, 2008, a woman surnamed Yang rushed to the police station, visibly anxious and confused. She came to report that her son, Chun Kong, had been missing for an entire week. Accompanying her was her daughter, Chun Lin, who was there to support and comfort her mother. In the reception room, Ms. Yang recounted the entire story. Her son, Chun Kong, aged 32, was a taxi driver. A week prior, he had taken an order from a regular customer, requesting a ride from Kachi to the Duanqi district in Huangshan City, on Hubei province. Before he set off, Chun Kong was cheerful and promised his mother he'd be back in a few days. However, since he left, Ms. Yang called him every day to check in, only receiving responses for the first 2 days. By the third day, his phone rang, but he no longer answered. Worried, Ms. Yang asked her daughter Chun Lin to try calling her brother, but with no better result. Ms. Yang was certain this wasn't the first time Chun Kong hadn't answered his phone while working away, so she decided to wait one more day. By the fourth day, she persistently called, but Chun Kang's phone remained unanswered. She suggested to Chun Lin that they report it to the police, but Chun Lin thought that her brother was an adult, perhaps needing some personal space, and advised her mother to wait a bit longer. Then, on the evening of March 9th, Ms. Yang unexpectedly received 3 text messages from Chun Kang's number at 6:12 p.m., 6:24 p.m., and 7:03 p.m. The first message apologized for not being able to answer the phone, explaining that Chun Kong was handling an important job and would be home in a few days. The second message emphasized that this job required his full concentration, so he couldn't take calls, and he asked her not to call further. The final message advised her not to tell anyone about this, to avoid causing trouble. Upon receiving the messages, Ms. Yang felt relieved, believing her son was safe. However, by March 12th, with still no call from Chun Kong, she decided to try calling once more. This time, the phone reported as unavailable, with no way to reach him. Sensing that something was wrong, she shared everything with Chun Lin and showed her the messages. After carefully examining them, Chun Lin noticed that the messages didn't seem like her brother's usual style. From the wording to the punctuation, overcome with worry, she decided that they could no longer wait and immediately took her mother to the nearest authorities to report the incident. Listening to Ms. Yang and her daughter's account, the police recognized this as a potentially serious missing person case. Immediately, the Qiyang County Police reported the situation to higher authorities and received support from the Kachi District Police to form a special investigation team for the case. Suspicion surrounding a mysterious woman. Through preliminary investigation, the Kachi District Police gathered more information about Chun Kong, the victim of this mysterious disappearance. Chun Kong, 32, was a taxi driver currently living with his mother in Miao Village. Everyone in the village described him as kind-hearted, gentle, and very filial. He had previously worked in an auto repair shop before saving enough money to buy his own taxi, which allowed him to earn a stable income despite a large bank loan. His regular monthly payments indicated that his business was fairly stable. Based on the information Ms. Yang provided regarding the car's license plate and Chen Kang's phone number, the police quickly issued a missing person alert. Through news outlets and media channels, they urged citizens to report to the nearest authorities if they spotted the white Toyota with license plate 5817. During the investigation, the police also contacted the telecom company to retrieve the call and message history from Chen Kang's phone. They discovered that the last number he contacted was a fake, unregistered number. Additionally, there appeared to be a close relationship between Chen Kang and the user of this number, with numerous affectionate messages exchanged. This led the police to suspect that the person might be a woman and possibly romantically involved with Chen Kang. When the police questioned the family about this mysterious woman, both Ms. Yang and Chen Lin insisted that they had never heard Chen Kang mention any romantic relationship. Ms. Yang shared that Chen Kang had always been focused on driving to make money, even avoiding the topic whenever she brought up marriage. She had even suspected he might have issues with his sexuality, as he always evaded questions related to romantic relationships. With no additional useful information from the family, the police continued to investigate Chen Kang's social connections. After announcing the missing person case, many people came forward with valuable information. Through careful screening, the police traced Chen Kang's route, though his final destination remained a mystery. On the afternoon of March 6th, it was confirmed that Chen Kang had driven a female passenger to the Duanqi district. The two then rented a hotel room together for the night. Around 11 p.m., a hotel staff member reported hearing arguments and crying from Chen Kang's room. The next morning, at approximately 5:30 a.m., the woman left the hotel first. Chen Kang checked out around 6:15 a.m., appearing distressed, as if he intended to follow her. After that, no one knew where Chen Kang and the woman went or what they did. To clarify the situation, the police requested the hotel to provide room rental information and surveillance footage from that day. The hotel manager provided the information and recordings. The room rental receipt listed only Chen Kang's information, with no details about the accompanying woman. Upon reviewing the footage, the police observed that the woman wore a wide-brimmed hat, dark sunglasses, and consistently avoided camera angles, making it impossible to see her face or identify her. This raised suspicion. If she was merely a regular guest, why avoid surveillance cameras? Furthermore, the fact that they shared a room suggested a romantic relationship between them. But why the secrecy? Was there something mysterious between them? The police developed several theories, but the woman's identity remained unknown. A lead from the repair shop. The final route. During the investigation, a new clue emerged from a garage in Liaishan District, Huaibei City, on Hubei Province. The shop owner, Mr. Li, recalled that on March 7th at 7:20 p.m., he had changed a tire on Chen Kang's Toyota. Mr. Li noticed that throughout the repair, the person inside the vehicle never stepped out. When it came time to pay, the person only cracked the window slightly to pass the money, and the car windows were tinted, preventing any view of the inside. The police then requested footage from the repair shop security camera. Just as Mr. Li described, the person inside the car never exited, only slightly rolling down the window to pay. Based on the vehicle's direction, police suspected Chen Kang may have traveled toward either Yongqiao District in Suzhou or Tongguan Mountain District in Tongling, on Hubei Province. However, both areas were rural, sparsely populated, and difficult to navigate. This led police to question why Chen Kang would travel to such a remote place, especially if he was with the mysterious woman. Up to that point, no residents in the area had reported seeing Chen Kang's Toyota. The task force decided to divide into 3 groups to broaden the investigation. One group would focus on identifying the woman accompanying Chen Kang, while the other 2 groups would proceed to Yongqiao and Tongguan Mountain districts to search for his whereabouts. The first police team, assigned to identify the woman, extracted images from the hotel's surveillance cameras and circulated them to the media to aid in locating her. However, due to poor image quality and limited technology at the time. The identification process faced numerous challenges. Meanwhile, after over 8 hours navigating rugged mountain roads, the second police team finally reached Yongqiao district. The area was predominantly mountainous, with deteriorated and hazardous roads, particularly during the rainy season, complicating the investigation. To understand the terrain better, they enlisted the help of local police. According to the local authorities, Yongqiao was prone to frequent traffic accidents, with hundreds occurring yearly, mainly due to vehicles losing control and plunging into ravines. Hearing this, the investigation team immediately hypothesized that Chun Kong might have suffered an accident en route, causing both him and the car to vanish in a ravine. However, if he had indeed met with an accident, who had sent the messages to his mother on March 9th? Considering the route and timeline, the police speculated that after leaving the repair shop, Chun Kong might have stayed overnight at a guest house before continuing his journey the following day. However, if Chun Kong had truly had an accident on his way to Yongqiao, he would have been unable to send the messages on March 9th. Additionally, the messages Ms. Yang received had been verified as not originating from Chun Kong, leading to two possible theories. 1. Chun Kong survived the accident. He may have asked the woman or someone else to message his mother to reassure her. 2. Chun Kong was murdered. The perpetrator, after committing the crime, impersonated Chun Kong to send the messages to Ms. Yang to mislead the investigation and buy time to escape. The police were determined to find the Toyota that Chun Kong had been driving. They began searching along dangerous routes where accidents frequently occurred, but after 3 days of tireless effort, they found no trace of Chun Kang's vehicle. This indicated that he might not have met with an accident in Yongqiao after all. A quick transaction at the illicit car market. Expanding their search, the investigation team visited motels, hotels, and car dealerships in the district to verify if Chun Kong had been there. After 2 days and combing through 53 hotels and 28 shops, the police found no evidence that Chun Kong had been to Yongqiao. Thus, the investigation shifted focus to Tongguan Mountain District. Tongguan Mountain's terrain was even more challenging, with many landslide-prone areas, winding roads, and sparse population. Most residents were farmers with minimal trade or business activity, making the investigation more difficult. Initially, the team suspected Chun Kong might have had an accident, but after days of fruitless searching, they dismissed that theory. The most probable scenario remaining was that he had been murdered and robbed. As a result, they concentrated their efforts on shops, motels, and hotels in the area. The investigation revealed that on the afternoon of March 8th, at a guest house named Inhua, a woman driving a Toyota with a matching license plate to Chun Kang's rented a room. She stayed for a night, appeared tense, and was seen making phone calls before hastily leaving early the next morning, leaving behind a luxurious silk handkerchief. The guest house owner handed the handkerchief over to the police as evidence. Unfortunately, there was no surveillance at the guest house, and he hadn't kept a record of the rental. He only remembered that the woman's name was Lu Manhua. At the same time, the police received a significant lead. In Tongguan Mountain District, there was an underground market specializing in buying and selling illegal cars, particularly those without documentation or involved in hit-and-run cases. This bolstered the theory of a murder and robbery, as the perpetrator couldn't sell Chun Kang's Toyota through legal channels and would have needed to resort to the illicit market. The team posed as buyers looking to sell a car, contacting the smuggling network through a broker. After setting up a meeting, they successfully apprehended the ringleader, Cao Ming, and his associates at the transaction site. During the inspection, they found Chun Kang's Toyota with license plate 5817 in their parking lot. Cao Ming, 38 years old, had a criminal record for fraud and initially refused to speak. However, facing a potential 25-year sentence, He agreed to cooperate in hopes of a reduced sentence. According to Cao Ming's statement, on the night of March 8th, a broker called to inform him of a woman wanting to sell a new Toyota at a very low price. Cao Ming saw this as a lucrative opportunity and agreed. He arranged for the broker to bring the seller to meet him at 6 a.m. the following morning in an empty lot behind a cemetery for the transaction. On the morning of March 9th, Cao Ming arrived at the empty lot behind the cemetery as agreed and met a woman driving a white Toyota with the same license plate as Chun Kang's vehicle. From the start, he noticed she didn't seem like a local or a business person. Sensing an opportunity, Cao Ming pressured her to accept a lower price. But surprisingly, she agreed without objection. After inspecting the car and finalizing the price, he purchased the Toyota at a bargain. Clues from the car and the mysterious woman's identity. Inside the car, Cao Ming noticed a strong perfume, scent mixed with an odd metallic odor. But, excited about the deal, he didn't pay it much attention. Satisfied with the condition, he handed over cash, and the woman left swiftly without giving any identification. They didn't exchange names, but Cao Ming described her as about 1.55 to 1.57 meters tall, with shoulder-length black hair, wearing expensive jewelry, and a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses that concealed her face. The police asked Cao Ming to provide the phone number the woman had used for the transaction. Upon verification, they discovered it was the same number found in Chen Kang's call history, reinforcing the theory that the mysterious woman had murdered Chen Kang and tried to cover her tracks. Receiving the car from Cao Ming, the police immediately brought in forensic experts. After over 2 hours of meticulous examination, the forensic team provided critical information. The car was covered in dried mud on the outside. One tire had recently been replaced, matching previous information gathered by the police. Inside the car, despite thorough cleaning, traces remained. On the driver's seat and steering wheel, police found blood stains that had been wiped down but still reacted to luminol, suggesting a blood volume large enough to be fatal. Based on the blood spatter, police concluded that the assailant sat in the passenger seat, while Chen Kang was in the driver's seat. The attacker used a sharp object to stab him forcefully in the neck. Positioned nearby, she could have easily delivered the lethal blow. Some blood traces remained in the seat crevices and dashboard, which hadn't been detected or wiped away entirely. DNA testing confirmed that these bloodstains belonged to Chen Kang, proving he hadn't simply gone missing but had been murdered. As suspected, upon closely inspecting the car's floor, police found a few long black hairs matching the description of the mysterious woman Cao Ming had encountered. In the trunk, they detected traces of cleaned blood, leading them to suspect that the killer may have murdered Chen Kang, then dragged his body into the trunk to dispose of it in a remote location before cleaning the vehicle and selling it. Police suspected the motive for the crime might be emotional conflict rather than robbery, since the woman appeared wealthy, wearing expensive jewelry and not showing any financial strain. If money had been the motive, she likely wouldn't have sold the car to Cao Ming at such a low price. At that moment, a man named Sun Zong arrived at the Kaichi District Police Station, claiming that the woman police were searching for might be his wife. He Qingxiao, Sun Zong, the owner of an import-export company, explained that due to work, he typically didn't live with his wife, only visiting her on weekends in Kaichi. He had been overseas for work and had just returned the previous evening. Seeing the police's wanted notice, he realized the woman in the photo closely resembled his wife. Previously, he had tried calling her but couldn't reach her, which raised his suspicion that something might have happened. The police asked Sun Zong to confirm the woman's identity in the photo, and he was 90% certain it was He Qingxiao. They also requested a personal item with her DNA to compare with the hair sample found in Chen Kang's car. Although suspicious, Sun Zong handed over a hairbrush with his wife's hair. DNA testing confirmed that the DNA from He Qingxiao's hair matched that from the hair sample in the car. verifying that He Qingxiao was indeed the woman who had been with Chen Kong. However, proving she had murdered him would require locating the weapon and Chen Kang's body. The police issued a warrant for He Qingxiao through media outlets and began searching potential hiding spots. They also retraced her route, hoping to find where she might have disposed of Chen Kang's body. The victim's body and a final, fatal letter. After 5 days of intensive searching, police finally discovered Chen Kang's body on a secluded stretch of road along the highway leading to the auto repair shop in Tongguan Mountain District. The location wasn't in an area prone to accidents, so it had previously been overlooked. Authorities and forensics teams arrived at the scene, where they found Chen Kang's body in a state of mild decomposition. His body lay beneath a cliff, far from the main road, with multiple injuries consistent with impact from hard objects, indicating he had been pushed from a height. He was still wearing the clothes he had worn when he left the hotel in pursuit of He Qingxiao, along with personal items such as his ID card, driver's license, cigarette pack, lighter, and some cash. Nearby, the police discovered a knitting needle, suspected to be the murder weapon. After bringing the body to authorities, the autopsy report confirmed Chen Kang died from acute blood loss due to a fatal neck wound that severed an artery with a sharp object. The estimated time of death was around March 7th to March 8th. Bruises from blunt impacts on his body were determined to have occurred post-mortem when his body was thrown down the cliff. Forensic analysis also discovered a large quantity of sedatives in Chen Kang's stomach, indicating he had been drugged before the murder. This pointed to premeditated intent by He Qingxiao. News of the manhunt for He Qingxiao spread quickly, and soon after, the police received a tip-off that she was hiding at a hotel. Officers immediately rushed to the location, broke into her room, and found He Qingxiao unconscious from an overdose of sleeping pills. With a confession letter beside her, they managed to get her to the hospital in time, and although she survived, doctors confirmed the medication had caused the death of her unborn child. The painful life of He Qingxiao. Upon examining the confession letter, forensic experts confirmed it was in He Qingxiao's handwriting. The letter revealed her tragic life and the reasons behind her decision to kill Chen Kang. Born into a poor farming family, He Qingxiao grew up under the abuse of an alcoholic and lazy father who often beat his wife and children. Her mother was submissive, silently enduring the frequent beatings. He Qingxiao's childhood consisted of early mornings working in the fields with her mother, laboring tirelessly to help support the family, though the money they earned was never enough to satisfy her father's drinking habit. Her mother, exhausted and powerless, often took out her frustration on Qingxiao, with harsh scolding and painful slaps becoming a routine part of her life. While Qingxiao sometimes resented her mother, she told herself that her mother also suffered greatly. Growing up, she lacked everything, material and emotional needs alike. Sometimes, she dreamed of going to school, living in a loving home, but such dreams felt too far out of reach. Forced to leave school early to work, Qingxiao clung to a sliver of hope, a desire to escape her dire circumstances. At 17, her father died from a severe illness, and for Qingxiao, it felt like a release. She left her hometown and went to the city to find work. With her striking beauty, Qingxiao quickly attracted attention from many men who offered her things she had never had: money and affection. For a girl with a tragic past and a longing for love, this attention swept her into a whirlwind of emotions. She entered a relationship with an older man, and the two lived together for a time. However, when his wife found out, she confronted Qingxiao, dragging people to her home, humiliating and beating her, and ultimately forcing her to leave the city. Qingxiao was left in despair, losing her job, dignity, and love. Facing this hopelessness, she once contemplated ending her life. Fortunately, at that time, she met Sunzong, Her current husband, Sun Zong, helped her and was moved by her situation, gradually developing feelings of compassion. After some time together, they decided to marry, hoping that marriage would bring happiness. However, Sun Zong was a workaholic and frequently traveled for business, leaving He Qingxiao alone. Unwilling to continue living a lonely life in the city, He Qingxiao decided to return to her hometown. The Forbidden Affair and its tragic end. During this period, He Qingxiao met Chen Kong. She concealed her marital status, pretending to be single. Chen Kong, who had never been in a relationship, was quickly captivated by He Qingxiao's care and affection. They grew close, became lovers, and their relationship even turned intimate on several occasions. Chen Kong once suggested making their relationship public and introducing her to his family, but she always declined. Half a month prior, He Qingxiao began noticing changes in her body. Upon visiting a doctor, she learned she was 3 months pregnant. She knew that the child was Chen Kang's. In response, on March 5th, she arranged to meet Chen Kong in Duanqi District, where they stayed overnight at a hotel. Gathering her courage, He Qingxiao revealed the truth to him, that she was married and was carrying his child. Chen Kong was stunned, unable to believe his ears. They began arguing intensely, and during the argument, he accidentally broke a glass, cutting his hand and causing it to bleed. He Qingxiao used her handkerchief to bandage him. This handkerchief, later found by the hotel manager and handed over to the police, became a crucial piece of evidence in the case. Throughout that night, He Qingxiao lay awake, deeply troubled. By morning, she had resolved to end everything with Chen Kong. She left quietly before he awoke. When Chen Kong woke up to find her gone, he immediately went after her. They eventually met on a secluded road and stopped the car to talk. He Qingxiao thought Chen Kong had chased her out of concern and a desire to be with her, but instead, he demanded she terminate the pregnancy. He bluntly stated that the child would ruin his future and warned her never to disclose their relationship, or he would never forgive her. Chen Kang's cruelty extinguished any remaining hope within He Qingxiao. Enraged and despairing, she decided he would have to pay. That evening, when night fell, He Qingxiao secretly laced Chen Kang's drink with sleeping pills. When he lost consciousness, she used a knitting needle to stab him in the neck, inflicting a fatal wound. Afterward, He Qingxiao placed Chen Kang's body in the trunk, using bottled water from the car to clean up the bloodstains. Her initial plan was to drive to Tongguan Mountain District to dispose of both the body and the car. However, on the way, the car suffered a flat tire, forcing her to stop at the repair shop. From that point, events unfolded exactly as the police investigation uncovered. After committing the crime, He Qingxiao initially considered escaping, but as she reflected on the guilt of her actions, she chose to take sleeping pills to end her life. Fortunately, she was rescued and regained consciousness after 2 days in a coma, facing the consequences of the law. With sufficient evidence and He Qingxiao's confession, the prosecutor's office charged her with murder. During the trial, after hearing the entire account of the case and the prosecution's arguments, the court sentenced He Qingxiao to death. Each person's life is like a book, with each page containing its own story. This case is a tragic chapter, but it also serves as a profound lesson in how people confront adversity. Both Chen Kong and He Qingxiao endured personal suffering, but the ways they chose to address their issues led to tragic consequences. This case leaves not only a loss for the victim's family, but also a tragedy for the perpetrator's family. From this, we should take away a significant lesson: not to let pain and resentment overshadow reason. Decisions made in moments of despair often lead to irrevocable regret. What are your thoughts on the perpetrator and the victim in today's case? Leave a comment below to join the discussion with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Decoder Box channel so you won't miss more intriguing cases worldwide. Goodbye. and see you in the next video.